and a bit over both the games, a little bit like, are we playing a different rule book, like what Brian McDermott said earlier in the year, and John Padgett likes to point this out to me occasionally through the year when I sort of said it's not a different, they're not playing to different rules, but obviously there's a level that they're trying to achieve of intensity, and the referees are letting more go. But some of the things, I wonder if it's right to let them go. But generally, I think the best match official this weekend was Chris Kendall.
No, I don't think. I think Chris Kendall, for that Toronto game was held up.
But I don't want
to
knock. I'm not knocking Robert Higgs' performance. I don't think he decided the outcome of the game. I'd say that for certain. Loads of people got in touch. Do you want to start with? You've got Carsten's. I could not make sense of what he was on about.
I suspect something had been imbibed by this point. Carsten says 10 minutes of grinding, but then it became a really good game, and the second half was fantastic. WVW, I'm guessing that's SPW for Super Benny Westwood, had a monster moment, and I mean Cameron with his knee. I really hope Pricey doesn't becomes after that. #am I first?
Yeah, you were the first review, Carsten, and you were also the first review to not make sense. Sorry, I apologise. I just didn't get any of that. I don't know what you were on about, mate.
Pricey, I mean, I've read that about 4 times now, and I've got no clue.
Do you know what I think gives it better context is the next one, because this is the moment this is one of the potential sin binings I was talking about. So Tom Andrews then said, Cameron Munster got put sin bin, didn't he, in the NRL Grand Final for the same offence.
Yes,
is exactly kind of where I was coming from. But Tom Andrews at Tom.
Sorry, I was thinking because he looks like one of the Munsters.
Yeah. He says, superb game to watch with an outstanding atmosphere. Couple of key moments that went against Saints were the only differences. Lomax's injury and Westwood not getting 10 in the bin for knee to the head. Just like saying congratulations to Wigan/Castleford, delete as appropriate, on winning the 2018 Grand Final. Yeah, but there was one. There was a late tackle by a Saints player. That wasn't sin-binned as well, and it's just gone for. Do you know what? Next year, I'm going to write down notes after the game, and then I'll not waffle as much in these sections, because that's what I'm waffling about, because I can't remember who it was. But there was a sin-binning that should have gone the other way too. And then right at the end...
I didn't write a note for it in my book, so it clearly didn't stand out to me at the time.
Fair enough. Move on.
Mark Butler said, these games tend to be a bit tight, but what the hell happened to Saints? They had plenty of go forward, but anywhere near the line they looked like they did the year they had no available halfbacks for months. It's my first grand final in years next week. I meant to go with my friend Dave, but he loves Warrington so much he once sold a 2013 final ticket his girlfriend bought him as a surprise. Awaiting a text now.
Oh,
it's all right, Mark. You can come with us.
Yes, he can hang out with us, totally. Paul O'Brien said, what a game. The game was on a knife edge until the final minute and could have gone either way. Unfortunately, Wire won and Saints finished the season with only the shield after a promising season. Thought Hicks had a great game.
Lee Whitnell said, get in, get fucking in. I never thought we'd win. We never gave it a second thought that we'd beat Old Trafford next week. I can't believe it. Tough for Saints. They've been the best team overall, just not in semi-finals. As for why, could it be finally? No, that's silly. It can't be. Or could it?
Saints have lost 15 out of their last 16 semi-finals. Was a stat I saw today. I didn't verify it, but that's one I saw today. Joshua's granddad said, great game for the neutral. Benny B was very poor tonight. Last try tackle attempt was pathetic. Thought Holbrook made a big mistake leaving Lomax on after the injury. Nice to see a different set of rules. Washbrook got yellow for a knee like Westwood's. Richardson did well with the drop goals, given crap passes he got, but needs to contribute more in the first 5 plays. He's going home. Maybe it could be their year. Digs at both. Shots fired at both from Hull there.
Why not? If you're going to go down, take them both out. At DG Knight says, cracking tight semi-final and a great advert for the game. Very enjoyable for a neutral. Shame anyone had to lose, but well done to the Wire for stepping up a level and beating Saints. Hope Wigan versus Cass is just as close and exciting.
We'll see. At MikeDodd22 said, well, I wasn't expecting that when I turned up in enemy territory. A superb defensive performance. 3 great finishes from Wire, even if Barber waved Lynham in twice. Wire seemed to like the underdog tag, and hopefully that serves us well in the final. However, I'm going in with zero expectation again. After all, it's written in the stars for Wayne, Tompkins, Bateman and the others to ride off into the sunset with a title.
Sean Wayne could be a cowboy, couldn't he? You could just imagine him sort of corralling or being the sheriff, perhaps.
I don't think he's got the hips for getting up on a horse, personally. Well, he has had them surgically repaired, so maybe he has now, but I can't see him getting up onto a horse. I just can't see it. Maybe I could see him being like the
sheriff?
Yeah, like the sort of embittered old sheriff kind of at the corner of the bar, kind of drunk all the time. That's maybe what I can see.
Tom Eckley said, possibly my favourite game I've attended live. Intensity from both sides was phenomenal for 80 minutes, and coupled with a great atmosphere and a points gap that never exceeded a score, this was a great advert for the game.
Cutthroat Jake said, so St Helens will have to make do with the League Leader Shield, but at least they'll be Fatboy Rob's champions for the year to come. Winky face.
And finally, Paul Chamberlain says, I've seen more tackle at the Micro Penis Convention than Barbara has put in during the second half of the season. And that was what cost them at the end of the day. Coot will be a good upgrade for Saints. At least they got another piece of silverware with the Choke of the Year 2018 award, even though it was only for one day until Cass reclaimed it. Dig, dig, bang. What a review, Paul Chamberlain.
What I like about Paul is he's like hidden off social media, isn't he? So he can throw these grenades and then just scurry off. Absolutely,
and everyone just sort of
fantastic.
casually forgets about him, and then he just pops up and chucks another one in.
It's amazing. It's hilarious. I think he's had the most potential episode titles that we've ruled out due to sheer offensiveness all year. I think he picks on a big point that 2 or 3 people have picked out as well in that, though, which is Ben Barber we were all thinking, worried if you were a Warrington or a Wigan fan or a Cass fan, but we were all thinking that he'd rediscovered something over the last 2 to 3 weeks.
I thought he'd sat back for a bit and then he was going to come back ready for the big game and really tear it up, because he looked the last couple of weeks like he was building himself up ready for a really big game on Thursday night. And that didn't happen.
No, it really didn't. His stats say 2 missed tackles, but we know that those 2 missed tackles were absolutely crucial if it was the only 2 missed tackles he made, because they were horrific efforts, especially the one that, for all intents and purposes, was a double movement waiting to happen. You know, it was like flashing back to that day in August when Tom Lynham tried to slide in from 20 yards out and was never going to make it. And this was exactly
and then tried
the
it
same.
again 5 minutes later.
All that had to happen was Barber had to retain some level of control in his tackle technique, and it wouldn't have been a try. It would have been a double movement, and it would have been a different outcome. And that's crucial. I mean,
for a fullback, what's a fullback's primary job?
Well, you need your key players to come up big in the key moments, not come up wanting in the key moments. And there's no bigger player in this side than Ben Barber, and he didn't come up big in the big moment. It's really bad for him and his. I just think.
Do you think it was a heart thing that he just, once he'd got the deal sorted down and to go back, he was just like, no, thank you very much, I'll turn it off. I don't want to get myself injured. I'll just bring it in myself a bit.
No, not at all, because otherwise he wouldn't have given us that hilarious moment of the tears. No, as a Wigan fan, I did find it funny, but as a person, I didn't find it funny, actually. And the more I've seen it, the less I've enjoyed it, which is really disappointing for me. I was hoping to enjoy it more and more. But no, he wouldn't have cried like he did at the end of the game. He wouldn't have shown that level of emotion.
Don't worry, you'll have it as a GIF by this time next week.
If he wasn't devastated from what came out of it. I just think, but you look through the rest of the side as well, and there's 2 or 3 other big players in inverted commas that I don't think showed up sufficiently in this game, and I would label Mark Percival, Danny Richardson and John Wilkin in that group as well. I think it was a strange decision to start James Roby from the bench. It didn't.
That was odd because he it just meant they had no control on the game by the time. But on the flow of it, by the time he came on...
No, and then you felt like they'd lost the energy battle almost at that stage.
Yeah,
but then
and I
they
wonder
turned it around, and it was amazing that they went in only 3-2 up at half-time, because Roby really did turn the speed and impetus of that game around completely, I thought, once he got on the pitch.
And I wondered if it was generally that Saints were just nervous at that first 10, 15 minutes. They just looked like they just didn't look like Saints. And I think part of that was through not having Roby on the field to kind of say, come on, you over here, you over there, or just dart a couple of 10 metres from out of nothing.
They wanted to go physical in the pack, didn't they, in that period, to match the best of what Warrington have to offer. Because when Warrington go to Philbin and King, with all due respect to those two players, they're not as consistently good as Hill and Cooper and Clark as a front row situation. Yeah. And Clark then loses a bit of zip, and Hill gets fast play of the balls that the other ones don't necessarily get, and Cooper's getting a lot of offloads away this year that the other ones don't necessarily get, and so that's what Saints' game plan was, but their game plan didn't work, because your game plan cannot be remove your best player from the pitch. James Roby has not lagged in the last 5 minutes of games. Maybe his injury issues and concerns was
that's what I wonder would he have ordinarily played, and that's just we've got to get him in somehow.
But what they were actually crying out for was another passing option by the end of that game, another option to pull that wire defence out of shape, because that wire defence was so well organised, ridiculously well organised, and so Theo Farge on the bench would have been far more beneficial, I think, and that's without the hindsight of the Johnny Lomax injury situation. Johnny Lomax was probably the only one of their kind of backs that I thought offered a threat. Tommy Makinson did what Tommy Makinson does in terms of exit sets. I don't think him or Regan Grace got any opportunities.
Regan Grace's best performance was in defence and that amazing hit he put on in the first half.
Similarly, though, he made some baffling choices, like when he kicked that ball like into it back to a Warrington player and stuff like that, setting up crucial field position. It's just but that's that I was saying Lomax was the only one of that backs, 1 to 7 that I think actually played at a level is similar to what he's played at all year, but no one was really going with him. So that's the Saints aspect of it from the negatives. The Saints aspect from the positives was still Luke Thompson. So let's talk about Luke Thompson's going to be great in an England shirt.
I can't wait to see him in England
time.
when he's being able to be spelled and again for quality, and he can really work off getting quality ball all the time. He's going to be absolutely fantastic, and he's going to give you that something. He's going to give you that break out of nothing that he showed on Thursday night, when that busting through that really picked up the whole pace of the game, and it really woke everybody up at that point. And I think if he can do more of that, then in an England shirt, then it was going to be fantastic in these 4 games we've got coming up.
I think from a Warrington perspective, it really was Goodwin and Lynham were difference makers. They actually finished plays off, which is not what St Helens were able to do at all. So that was like a huge difference maker in reality. Now, the Jack Hughes try was absolutely crucial, wasn't it? Coming as it did right off the back of the Luke Douglas try, you felt if Saints scored again, or even if Saints controlled the next 10 minutes of the game at that point, that could...
The strength and body movement he showed for that was fantastic, and that was just exactly what you want. And that, to me, was what sets him, makes me comfortable with him in that England night squad as the captain.
Of course, yeah. No, I agree. I think it was a hugely influential moment in the game, and to get it down in that corner was fantastic. And then I was just waiting for Saints to score, like they always do late on against Warrington.
Never write off the Saints, Mark. Never write off the Saints.
Well, maybe we have to write them off now, certainly in semi-finals with that record. But from Warrington's perspective, what notes did you take on Warrington?
The main one was, weirdly, it's looking at my notes, they're majoritively Saints based.
Well, that's
I was clearly.
When we get to the stats, we'll do the stats, and then you can explain that point, because I think this amplifies the point you're going to make.
The one thing was, that drop goal in the first half. I did find it funny that the commentators were saying, "Oh, what a brilliant inspirational piece of play." He got the idea from the team at the other end 2 minutes earlier.
Who didn't execute it as well, though.
Who didn't execute it as well. Yeah, I mean, it is harsh to kick 3 drop goals and come off on the losing side, but it's not the first time it's happened this year, so that's even more funny.
Well, that's kind of it. What worries